Absolutely. Hey everyone, Joy here. We're going to do a balance today around hope. Because if there's something that Joy needs in her life at the moment, it's more hope.
Yes, and clean glasses.
And clean glasses. The two of those things, most important. Now, is that enough of an angle for your tummy?
Oh, I don't mind how much angle I have if I'm not going to be beaten up.
Okay.
I've never understood why anyone did anything except sort of sadly, that'll be good, yes.
So with everything so far about your diagnosis, what do you believe is happening in your body and how long do you think you've got?
Whenever people told me that I had anything that I didn't like, I was like a cat that got a broken leg.
Yep.
The cat won't let you fix it and take it to the vet. The cat goes under the deepest, darkest part it can find under cupboards or the house. And so long as you keep putting water and milk and food in, even if you push it under with the rake so that as far as it can. I think my best result with the cat came out with about 3 or 4 kittens. I didn't even know she was pregnant. And I ran over her, so I mean, obviously there's something wrong with her. But I didn't know, and I couldn't get her out.
Right.
So I just kept feeding her. She came out sometime later with 3 or 4 kittens.
Okay.
And I've done that when people told me I can't remember what the diseases were, but I just sort of, I actually rang up the support groups of all these things, and I said, not having that, I'm not having that, I'm not having that. And I never went to a doctor for 3 or 4 years, and when I was back again, it's something that needed something other than a diagnosis. The doctor said to me, well, if you had whatever I thought you had, you'd be dead. I said, oh no, I told you I wasn't having it. And sometimes doctors said, I wouldn't be giving it to you. If you've got it, you've got it. And I think, I don't think you have it unless you accept it. So I'm not sure that I've accepted all of this shit yet.
Good. Don't.
But by the same token, it's been such a shit of a
year so far.
And I must say that having got all of that pain in my thing and being told that it was my liver playing up, I promptly went off every single thing as doctors of all the pain, whatever.
All the pain drugs, yep.
And the
asthma drugs.
Yep. And I haven't had a crook liver, I haven't had a crook pain in my tummy ever since.
Pretty fascinating.
Yeah. And because I had my hands turned up like parrots.
And I assume you weren't taking more than, because they say like a maximum of 8 a day.
I'm pretty certain I wasn't.
Yeah. So, yeah, okay. Good. Because that's what I like to hear. Don't accept the diagnosis. This is where people go downhill. Get your information.
Well, for years and years and years, of course, when I got put on antibiotics, I thought, I just couldn't work. I just thought such terrible wogs and I'd get so sick. And of course, you always got worse. And I didn't realise that I was getting worse because I was on antibiotics.
Yeah,
until my hands came like parrot's hands, and when they got like that and I couldn't straighten them out.
Oh, is that when you realised that you had an allergy to the sulfur-based antibiotics? Right.
I had no idea what it was from.
Yeah.
It was when they made me have time off from work and sent me to have a raft of tests and all sorts of other things.
Well, Monica, my Monica, she when she first came to see me, it's because I was on the radio with Walter in those days, and she heard me talking one night about the immune system, and she thought, that sounds like what I need to do, and she came to see me. And she'd had something like, it was some ridiculous amount, like 40 penicillin injections or something like that over the previous year because she had this chronic cough that wasn't disappearing. And, there's that old saying, the definition of stupidity is trying the same thing over and over and over and over again. So, we tried some herbs for the lungs and the cough went away and she never had it again since.
She's been since been in
I'm thinking it was like 48 injections of penicillin. Like it just must have been her doctor's.
Even if it was bloody 16, it was pretty massive.
Oh, it was ridiculous. And anyway, so it is pretty funny. But that's why I'm excited about Manuela tomorrow. So
whatever this was that I was having.
Was that when you had the Ross River or the Q fever or something?
Well, I kept getting tested for that, for Q fever. I didn't get tested for all the others, and after about the third or fourth time that I got tested, I had something. They tested me for all of the other zoonotic diseases that you might get at a meatworks as well. And it showed up that on one of the occasions I certainly had Ross River. But I didn't have Ross River at the time, but I did have Q fever.
Yeah.
And you think, oh, right.
So regardless of the diagnosis, how does your body feel now compared to it did 6 weeks ago before the diagnosis? You've got less liver pain because you haven't been taking a pain drug.
Pain.
Yeah.
I've still got gut pain.
Right.
But she said that all the liver pain was that the liver is over here. I'll take the word for that.
It's up in underneath.
Oh! Right, obviously I've obviously got liver pain when people shove their hands in and try to kill you. But it doesn't hurt and I can bend over forward.
Yeah, okay. Okay, so no surprise. Your nervous system is trying to work out what to trust.
My nervous system is shot.
Yeah.
Dad probably heard more swearing in the car because those damn idiot wits that are running the state government put all the signs back to 80 on the freeway. And alongside it saying drive to the weather conditions, but we put it back to 80 because you haven't got the wits to bloody work out what it is. So I didn't know really what, if you put two statements up like that, they're conflicting. So which one should you obey? How you think the weather conditions are or how they put up with the lights going like that? No, they're conflicting. You either put one of the bastards
the Gateway
up,
Arterial.
Well, where else do they come from?
Right. Well, I thought it might have been Mount Lindsay Highway.
We don't have that
Which is 80 anyway.
We don't have that sort of signs on there. We're not that sophisticated. God, starve the lizard woman. We just have signs saying 60. Roadwork and Edward, there's none.
So your brain isn't trusting either thing at the moment. There's conflict. So there's a conflict around trust. So your brain doesn't know what to trust. What a surprise. But it's shutting down the frontal cortex, so we need to open that up so your information gathering can switch back on again.
The family things have certainly made it worse. Every time I think about that, I think that I get upset guts.
Yeah, hard.
I like your green shirt inside, the colour suits you.
Thank you. Yeah, there is some rage and anger in there, shutting down the frontal cortex as well.
Oh, believe me. Oh, I don't know.
And it's both internalized, so you're trying to hide some, but it's also externalized, so you're not hiding it very well.
well, I thought at least I could swear all the way from the time we got on the freeway to the time we got off. So Doug learned more. I reckon all the years he spent on the outside staff of council, I probably gave him more swearing today than he did most of that time. But I think if that might be vocalising, that might be good for you. Might be, it might make you angry, I've worked out. But my arms aren't up to doing a punching bag session.
Yeah, right. Just going to shimmy this around. Oh, yeah, I got your cute little socks in there. Anterior commission, okay. So the frontal cortex helps to take in information, helps to dissect what we know and helps to lay down memory, so that we start getting new information. When we go into survival, we don't lay down new information very well. So we need to calm that down because you need to be open to stuff that, gives you good information. You need to be open to the good. What?
I was just thinking, over the last 6 weeks since we got the diagnosis,
yep,
having spent most of my years chairing a meeting in an official capacity, I've had 3 different organisations in town who had such vicious fighting among their committee meetings that I got to chair them.
Yeah, right.
So now I'm
You're the go-to chairperson.
Well, I don't know. I just thought there was more. But whereas all of that abuse, that was fine. I didn't feel it was personal.
Well, that's your political hat, isn't it? Even if it's like just a local committee or something, that's your political hat. It's not about you.
No.
Which is pretty cool. Reticular activating system. Okay, so I'll just keep on tapping, and we're after hope, health and longevity. Hope, health and longevity.
So I need to put more Chinese feng shui turtles all over the house, do I?
Bloody oath. Well, I'm glad you've got a beautiful front yard these days, because once again, Dr. Zach Bush was saying that, you know, nature, sitting out in nature helps to improve our biome and our microbiome and our immune system and everything. In Denmark, big farms have to have 5% of their land.
Oh, I must have read that one.
Yeah, for flowers.
You often put a lot of stuff there and I stopped reading. Oh, that's too much.
Sometimes I just put it there because of the headlines. I think that's just a good, hopeful thing.
Yes, I thought it was rather interesting. But I think that in spite of whatever anyone might say about Prince Charles, he was one of the first people that turned over all front yards and things in one of his houses.
Right.
I suppose he has palaces.
What does that mean?
Palace. That?
What do you mean turn over the front yard? That's what I mean. I don't know what that means.
Instead of having it manicured and having the agapanthus there and the herbaceous border and the bloody swans,
right.
he turned it all over to wildflowers years and years ago.
Yeah.
So he already had been doing this 20 or 30 years ago. That's why they all reckon he was a nut.
Right.
Whereas he was probably one of the leaders in doing what he could in, see, Cornwall?
Oh, no idea.
He's a duchess. Oh, I doubt if he's a duchess anyway. Prince of Wales or Prince of Cornwall or somewhere. Duchy. It's a duchy of something.
Longevity.
Of course, he'd know what he was doing. He's a Scorpio.
And he would do it the best, being a Scorpio.
But he also has fostered herb gardens, I think.
Yeah, right.
And he's also done other things in the Duchy of Cornwall, which has a lot of, he might have, this big palace might be his, but there's also lots of, is tenant farmers or just farmers, or, you haven't made my lymph nodes all over there come good yet.
We have to find something that works for you. You can't do the infrared saunas.
Why? They're the ones that frighten me.
Well, you gave it back, so,
I didn't. I'll take your word about it being infrared. I don't understand that.
Well,
is that different to regular sauna?
Yeah, it penetrates 6 centimetres underneath the body, so that's why it mobilises the lymph and the blood.
It just frightened me. I don't know why it frightened me. Obviously, I do have trust issues. However,
and it's been used in Scandinavian countries for decades to fight cancer.
Probably when I was crook and was having issues with breathing before I got any diagnoses, I got out of the sauna in Bay Desert one day, and I really did have to lie down inside the place for some time because it made me feel faint. I may have stayed in it for too long or something, I don't know. I don't think I've enjoyed a sauna since that day.
Because lymphocyzing is another thing. That's the one that NASA actually found. So that's getting one of those little baby trampolines. They're only about a metre wide, a yard wide. So, and there's like a little mini mat on it. So that gets the lymph moving. So everything that gets the lymph moving helps your body deal and detox the cancer cells.
Oh, is that why Chris Tracy Patty got one of them?
So, yeah, and, you can get cheap You know, you can get cheap ones, you can get expensive ones. Going back like 15, 20 years ago, they were all the craze. And we never got one because any of the good ones were like $600-800 or something. But they're tighter, so the more expensive ones, it means you can just get a little bounce going on them. Whereas the cheaper one have more, you know, so it's harder to get like a nice little jog going on the cheap ones. So you sort of have to try it out to see whether or not you can imagine actually being on there for 5, 10, 15, 20 minutes. But yeah, it's about getting the lymph moving. But yeah, NASA did an amazing...
So why is it on trampolines it makes your lymph move and not other things?
Because your blood has its own pump. The lymphatic system doesn't have a pump.
But jumping up and down on a trampoline makes your blood...
Walking makes it move. Massage makes it move. Deep breathing makes it move. Infrared saunas make it move. I don't know what NASA actually tested, but they said the best exercise was rebounding.
Oh, is that why they got all these little things like Twitty's children are members of? The jumping up, the bounce club.
Oh, okay.
I think it's really trampolines, but they call it the bounce club. And you must get membership for a month or 3 months. Or...
Yeah. Blaze did trampolining for years. When he was like, I don't know, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, I can't remember.
Who's Doug talking to?
Don't know, must have answered your phone.
Right. I didn't hear a phone going. I'd have made some phone calls to some of his kids.
Happy, healthy and hopeful. I am happy, healthy and hopeful. Any more psychological reversal, something else? Want, need, think, safe, believe, deserve, trust. So trust is okay now, but safety is showing up. It is safe to let go of this problem. And hold.
Oh, that didn't work.
It is safer to keep this problem. Hold. Yeah, so that's the psychological reversal. Your brain doesn't think it's safe to be hopeful, happy and healthy.
Ooh.
Yeah, so we've got to reverse that. Okay, yeah, right. So the first little part of the brain showing up is the orbitofrontal cortex. This one says to do with conflict. You know, and it's like you getting information from everywhere. Information from Jimmy and me and Monica and all over the place. Everyone's got all this advice. You have to listen to your own inner heart when it comes down to it, when you get all your information.
And you know which information I found the most helpful of everybody's? Don't slap me for this. Karen Drescher said, doesn't matter what you choose, we'll back you every bit of it.
Good.
Oh, thank God, thank you. And I expect that working in a hospital, she probably knows that that's the most important thing to tell people.
Yeah. Mind you, she grabbed me on my way out and said, I assume you've got the naturopathic stuff sorted. And I said, yep. So, just by the way.
I haven't tried the bloody weird potion. You might make me a weird potion tonight or tomorrow for breakfast. But the ingredients are there.
Yeah.
And I had for breakfast the last 2 days some revival.
Oh, and Manuela might say, don't do that, you know. So we'll just wait and see. I'm quite excited to be going.
Well, I'm happy to be going. I wouldn't go so far as to say excited. I'd be more excited if I thought I was going to get a sex drive.
Oh, what good is it? Actually, we didn't put that on the list.
I don't know if that needed to be on the list. I think that
But it is a sign. It's a sign of lack of vitality. In fact, one of my cute little guys, sorry, I shouldn't talk about doctors like that, but Dr. Flavio Catigiani from a few years ago, who he was there talking about the endocrine system. He was from Brazil, and this was the first time he'd ever spoken in English at a conference, so I actually thought he did amazingly well given I can speak one language. Maybe Portuguese, do they? Anyway, I can't remember what language it was.
We speak that too.
Yeah, not me. Anyway, he was saying that when people come in and ask about their libido, his question at some stage in the consult is, well, do you love your partner and do you want to have sex with them? And he said, what's the point of someone saying I've got no libido if you hate your partner and the sight of them, doesn't do you any favours. So, and he said that when he was because he was an endocrinologist.
What do they do?
Hormones. So, thyroids, adrenals, all the sex organs. So, yeah, it was sort of interesting that he was 33 at the time. He was like a Doogie Howser. He just sort of was just one of these. I
haven't never seen whoever that sort is.
But you know who he is, though. So he was like a child genius.
He's on TV.
Yeah, he was a child genius. Anyway, whatever.
I didn't know I didn't know what he was and didn't care because it wasn't something I watched.
It was TV, and he was a doctor at some really young age.
Okay.
So it's one of these brilliant human beings who,
Even if you're brilliant, I don't think I could go to a 14-year-old. I even feel a bit iffy having all my doctors being half as old as my kids.
Yeah.
And the ones that I would see most, which would be probably, they're about Jimmy's age, seems to be a lot of the ones that are more.
Yeah.
Why do you keep wiping my hands?
That's about feelings. So that's like the finger modes.
Why do you lose your fingerprints?
With chemo?
No, I lost them before I ever had chemo. I mean, or they were very faint and not.
Because that was one of the side effects.
Of what?
Of the chemo they're recommending for you.
Oh, I just know from visiting other places where you have to put a fingerprint up.
Yeah, I don't know. Like it could just be skin thinning as we get older.
I thought it was often from doing so much housework and losing them from chemicals. That's
not likely.
Definitely is. Because I asked them, that was the only thing they could come up with, and I thought, bloody likely. Know how much I like housework. And I never.
Obviously, I've seen the odd movie where people deliberately burn their fingers to burn it off. But yes, not my preferred way of losing my fingerprints. Okay.
I didn't have anything against my fingerprints. I was astounded when I've been asked to present fingerprints and didn't have any that was any good.
Want, need, think, safe, believe, deserve, trust. I guess that's better. Centre of gravity. No, that's okay. Conscious, yeah. Okay. Good old trust and trust issues.
I expect I've had these all my life.
Hold out. Well, when I was chatting to Manuela yesterday, and she said that there'd be a questionnaire to ask about this and that and blah, 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 and sleep. And I said, well, she hasn't slept well since she was 2 years old.
I've been younger. No, it was probably older. I can remember when the medicine came.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously.
So I don't even know. I'm just very curious to see what she's going to recommend. Because in America, they prescribe melatonin for everyone with cancer because they know that sleep is crucial to helping the body to heal. But we can't get it that easily in Australia. In Australia, it's, one of the stupid drugs. And they do a synthetic version, whereas natural is always better.
I think that I left something out that I probably should have put in there, that I have been to discuss stuff with, I don't know if it was a shrink, but something like that.
Oh, okay, yep.
Well, I didn't.
What we can do, because my next person's cancelled because of the rain, we could do a quick little email and just add a few extra things if you think of.
I can't think of anything else.
Okay. Yeah, we can add that.
I was going to say I'll say later. One of the things that took so long for me to get diagnosed about the sulphur antibiotics was that I was on, I have no idea why, but I was on diuretics at some stage.
Oh, yeah.
And I was allergic to the diuretics. And Dave Nicol, that's how long ago Dave Nicol was there.
Were you getting fat ankles or something?
I have no idea. Now, God, Dave Nicol was still there. Must have been 1,000 years ago.
And it might have just been one of those things, like maybe in your pregnancy, you might have retained a bit of fluid. They might not have known the side effects of diuretics 50 years ago.
It wouldn't have been 50 years ago, I don't. Anyway, I'm sure it was after Huey Urquhart died, but Dave Nicol was still there. But I went back because I had pains in so many of my joints, and he said I had what drunks get. Yes, they get in their ankles or something. Gout. He said I had gout.
Really?
And then he said, you're on diuretics. We better take you off them.
Right.
But apparently diuretics and these antibiotics have the same thing in them, but he never, ever, no one ever tied in, you can't have diuretics, but you can have antibiotics with the same stuff in. So, of course, it would never have occurred to me that I would have been prescribed something that I was clearly, in my opinion, that didn't agree with me.
Yeah.
Until my hands went like glass. That's scary.
Parahippocampus. So that one that just showed up was a lack of motivation due to internal negativity. So once again, around trust. So we've calmed that down. Now the parahippocampus is showing up.
As what?
That is showing up as the dog next door. Now showing up as the next part to work on. It's to do with the emotions around
being scared of dying or being scared of all your sisters.
Yeah, well.
And brothers.
Any or all of the above.
I just think I couldn't believe their inhumanity.
Mm-hmm. Totally.
Because I would have thought that they all knew that I'd just been handed this death sentence by the doctors, which I wasn't taking.
Yep.
But they knew it had happened.
Yep.
Because I made sure that they knew.
Yep.
And then about the next day, they're jumping on me for all sorts of other shit. And I'm thinking, anyone with half a brain would have let it slide, would have not picked on me for it. And you think, it's just cruel. And then I decided that Mara, you, in my opinion, is so soft-hearted to cry of anything. And I thought, why would anybody go and upset somebody that was about to jump on a motorbike and go home? Now, why would anybody in their right mind go around upsetting somebody when they know they're about to get on a motorbike? Now, that is just madness. I just don't think they've got anything to keep their ears apart.
Yeah.
In the common sense tact healing department.
Yeah.
Unless my family just doesn't count and everybody else's does. Well,
I don't think that's it.
I don't think it does. I think we think it counts, but we might not count on anybody else's scale.
Yeah. No, and you should just make sure that you fill your life with stuff that makes you happy and you joyful, and cut out everything that doesn't. Hippocampus A. Okay, so that's okay. So is it fear of failure, fear of success, fear of pain? There's fear of pain going on. Okay, so let's do fear of pain.
I don't think it's fear of pain, actually.
Hold out.
Was it?
Mm-hmm. But that's okay. It's just one thing. It can be lots of stuff. That's just one of them. Yeah, so that's a fear, threat, danger. So what are you thinking? Because it wasn't fear of failure or fear of success. Fear of death?
I'm definitely don't.
Okay, so I'll throw that one in there.
I told my mother once that I really thought St. Augustine was one of the few saints that had much going for him. I thought she thought it was terrible. Anyway, but always St. Augustine was apparently a libertine and was carrying on with 40 women and blah, 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 anything that you'd think of that was not...
So what's the opposite of death to you? What's the positive?
Life.
Yeah, so what's
but not
your...
life with needles coming in and out of you.
Yeah.
And the back thing in your mouth so you can't talk.
So you want the health?
Well, I certainly don't want to be a comatose twit.
Yeah.
Giving everyone the shits. Having to go and visit some gaga bloody person that can't say anything. And if they can hear anything, they hear everyone talking about whatever they... And you think, you know... Never forget when my poor bloody cousin Greg was dying and his sister-in-law and I were sitting one on each side of the bed. Our two husbands were sitting there, they weren't holding his hand. We were both holding his hand and they'd already told us that time was short and he was waiting for his son and his wife and kids to come. And she said that his wife's sister said, let's think of all the funny things and the happy things that you can think of. And she was telling us about how he fell out of the boat when he was fishing one day and he was screaming and yelling because he was going to drown, and someone said, for Christ's sake, put your feet on the ground. He was in about 3 foot of water. And then I said, I remember him telling us that his mother sent him and Dallas, who was his younger brother, down to chook pen to feed something. And while they were about it, they both decided, Greg probably decided, we'll both wee on the chooks or the rooster or something. So, and anyway, and the rooster bit one on them. And I said, but I can't remember if it was Greg or Dallas. And Greg had been out saying nothing for a long time. He says, Dallas. Nothing else. Probably the last word he ever said.
I remember one of my clients years ago, she was one of 9 kids, I think. And one of her brothers was about 55 and dying of liver cancer. And he'd done quite well because he was, originally given like 4 to 6 weeks or something. And this was like 8 months down the track. But anyway, and they were waiting for all the siblings to come from all over Australia, as you could imagine. And and she did exactly what you did. She said something like, my favourite memory, and then she just said her because he was there sort of in and out of consciousness, but she said her favourite memory and he got the giggles, and then one by one they all gave their favourite memory with him. And anyway, I remember when she told us about that and I thought, oh, what a lovely thing to actually think about doing at that time.
Well, I'm sure that even if you've been pissed off with someone for the rest of the whole life and you're really angry with them because they did something when you were 3.
Yeah.
And
as people do.
Well, you do. I've been a surprise. I'll never forget once I drove Gussie and Ruby and May up to Biggendon. And they were all way past 70.
Happy.
They might have all been past frigging 80.
Mm-hmm.
And they're sitting there, the girls, Gussie and Doug were saying nothing. I was driving. Sitting there arguing about...
I am healthy.
I am.
I am
Most of the time.
Oh, okay. Happy's a good lock with no psychological reversal. Healthy's an unlock. We need to pick that up. But it's psychological... No. It's psychological reversal. So we need to reverse it.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
We need to fix it.
So I try to stop you?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so part of your, is it conscious? Is it subconscious or unconscious? Subconscious. So part of your unconscious brain doesn't believe you're healthy. We just need to flip that because the subconscious...
Unconscious brain?
Yeah, subconscious. So your subconscious is 70% of your brain.
The bastard is...
The bastard's saying you're not healthy. We need to flip that little bugger.
That dirty prick.
Exactly. That's heart chakra stuff. Okay, so...
Is my heart okay?
It's not your heart, it's your heart chakra. So that's about love and self-worth and belief. Ah, right. Yeah, right. So you're losing self-confidence in your health, and your self-worth, self-esteem is linked in with your health and your body.
It's probably right. After all of the things that I did to make sure I never got breast cancer, from the time that doing all my bowing movements and everything else, for years and years and years, I was shocked to my back teeth then.
Yeah. And I think that's been the bugger for me the last year, is learning all this stuff that I've learned about how, you know, like third generation DDT, people who breathed in DDT, third generation is where breast cancers are coming through left, right and centre. The first 30 years of polio vaccines had a specific ingredient in there that are linked in with prostate and breast cancer now down the genome. So there's all sorts of chemicals that they used for 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 years that are now part of our genome, which is that part of your genetics that come from your mum, your dad, your grandparents, your great-grandparents. So that's the sort of research that's coming out now.
How do they actually find out who all of those people were?
Yeah, bugger if I know.
If you come from Australia, they didn't even know what country they came from. I mean, obviously the people that came to Australia were told they had to be Australians. They had to, when they were naturalised, they were virtually told, you're now Australians, stop all that nonsense about eating pasta and stuff. It wasn't quite that. It wasn't until, I'll say, who was Al Grasby?
No idea.
So he wasn't the American dickhead that got a...
I have no idea. Oh. Al Grasby, what are you thinking?
Well, there was two people. One jackass did a lot of shit in America. Maybe he got a pink ticket or an award or something for being a thinking...
I thought Al Gore for a sec, but he's the only Al G I can think of.
Well, if that was Al Gore's a dickhead, I didn't want to be talking about. I must be talking about Al Grasby then. I mean, you could get Al Gore and Al Grasby mixed up.
Well, it was the only Al G I could think of.
Al Grasby must have been, and I doubt that he was LNP, but he might have been. He might have been a Green. But anyway, he was... And I don't know if he was a senator. He was in the federal government anyway. Whether he was a senator or an MP, I don't know. But he used to wear clothes like you and I.
Yeah.
Nice suit coats like vests like we wear.
Yeah.
And he must have been the first person who positively encouraged people to become Australians, but still embrace your old country.
Oh, yeah, cool. Which is fair enough.
Well,
you know, let's face it.
Well, yeah, prior to that, even though people might have opened Chinese gardens or Chinese vegetable gardens or Chinese, half that time they were called chop shops.
Yep.
When I was actually just Chinese restaurant.
Yep.
But the Chinese were quite treated like pariahs. It's no wonder I didn't find out I had Chinese grandfather until he was just about, he might have been dead anyway.
Yeah, right, it just never occurred to you.
Oh, I remember sometimes we used to laugh about reckoning that some of us must have surely been related to the Afghan camel drivers, but that was because we knew so little about, we knew that, obviously we knew that Grandma had, her mother was a drover's cook.
I am hopeful.
And then when they went to Cloncurry, they had a shop.
Yep.
And because she wasn't married, we assumed she must have been, had a boyfriend that had the drover's work. But when we've discovered a bit more about it, her father was a boss drover, so she was probably actually the cook, with my grandmother being the little kid that slept with the mother under the chuck wagon or whatever they have in Australia.
Yeah, right.
But it was her father had the big plants, so droving plants, so she was probably with her father.
Yeah.
Maybe I don't know where his wife was, though I suppose wives often died, didn't they? And they might have been dying of breast cancer then, if there were so many of them died from them.
Well, apparently the average amount of time for toxins to be deemed toxic around the planet before they actually stop them is about 50 years. And by that stage, there's often about 2,000 double-blind placebo studies.
I have no idea what that means.
It just means there has to be shitloads of research before they make anything illegal.
Unless it's COVID.
Yeah, exactly. But that happens in a heartbeat. Exactamundo. Yeah, there were 3 particular things that they mentioned in the cancer masterclasses last week.
I think that if I'm suffering from trust issues, I would imagine the last year of the biggest wankers in God's earth running the country and making mainly the Queensland government.
Yeah.
Making such idiotic rules and changing them every 5 minutes so you can get fined every other 5 minutes.
Yeah.
And I know from the experiences of my children and nieces and nephews and other things that the rules are so bloody fluid and they were changed from here to there and they're so stupid. Like a whole plane load of people from Western Australia legally got in a plane in Western Australia. By the time they got to Queensland they were illegal and shoved into quarantine for 2 weeks or something. And you think, well, that can't be right. We're all Australian. There wasn't any things between one city and the other, and then halfway
Or on the plane.
Yeah, and then halfway through they changed the law, and you think, can't be right that you're doing that.
Yes, I don't think the last year has helped anyone.
And then they decide, well, at 6 o'clock on Friday, you'll all be shut down.
I think germaphobes have loved the last year, and there's a lot of germaphobes on the planet.
Should be shocked.
No, but you know, it's something that those people who have that major fear, and that's been driven by advertising and doctors and all sorts of rubbish like that.
Some people think these arseholes that are running us are bloody patron saints of shit.
I know,
I
it's
think they're
amazing.
patron saints of shit. They probably think they're patron saints.
But yeah, actually, let me ask, because I did this with someone else. So let me just ask in relation to the past year with politicians. The past year of politicians. And hold.
What am I going for? In favour or against?
Hold. This is an immune system check. Hold. So the politicians have lowered your immune system because of your stress associated with them.
Oh, I'm not surprised.
Yeah. So we need to pick up your immune system in relation to politicians.
And even ones that I might have voted for, they've lost their mojo too on account of having to be stuck with shit that they didn't want to be stuck with.
Have they called an election for later on this year so far?
Are we
Not
due
yet.
for one? Are we due for one?
Well, I heard, you know, at the elections last October, I had heard that they were hearing on the grapevine that there might be an election federally this September, October.
Do they have to have a federal election this year?
I don't know.
Well, they'll have one when they've got to have one. They're not supposed to have them early anyway.
No, but ScoMo was polling quite well at the time.
Well, I think he's polling like shit now, isn't he?
That's probably why we haven't heard anything.
Now that he thinks it's okay for people to rape women in bloody Parliament, and that women staffers aren't safe, that's basically what. Oh, I think one of them might have had a male staffer a couple of years ago, maybe 10 years ago, that wasn't safe either.
Yeah, it's the whole people in power thing, isn't it?
We haven't got any people in power. Well, there hasn't been a political meeting since bloody God was in short frigging pants.
Yeah, there's a lot of people making the rules. Okay, so in relation to politicians. Hold.
I might have to join the Pauline Hansel party.
I'm thinking the same thing. In relation to, yeah, we might have a chat about that closer to the Cape. Okay, so in relation to any and all political bullshit.
But I think Pauline Hanson is racist and I'm not.
Yeah.
And I don't think I could join anything.
So this is just generally political bullshit. also messing with you. So, and it's hard not to pay
As a
attention to it at
person
the
like
moment.
me, was gone to every political meeting on our branch at least,
Yeah.
for the last 100 years, and we haven't had a branch meeting for more than a year.
Which is crazy. So what are they doing, making decisions without...
Well, obviously they're not having meetings because you can't have a meeting that's got more than... And then they called one and decided to have it in Jubilee Park, which was going to be everyone could social distance and everything else. And then the National Party jerks, which I think have all been sacked since then, but they said they couldn't do it, so they called it off. I thought, well, that's a start.
Yeah.
Of course I was going to go. Then they called it off. I was so angry I could have hit someone.
Yeah.
So, I mean, basically, we're being ruled by Watership Downs.
Yeah.
Who's that, the rabbits or the rats or the water mice?
I am happy, hopeful and healthy. And hold. It's better. Once again, I'll double check psychological reversal. Want, need, think, safe, believe, deserve, trust. Check the centre of gravity. Yeah, you know, before when you said that with everything you've done, you couldn't believe it. And that's the doing side that's exhausted. So it's like your nervous system got to the spot where I've been doing all of this stuff and I still got the frickin' cancer. So it's exhausted having to do. But you need to get yourself back into your centre again and know the stuff you know.
It isn't just that. Even the natural things, I'm pretty certain of setting my tummy.
Yep. No, that's cool. We'll sort it out tomorrow.
And I can't tell you what it exactly does what.
Yeah. Yeah, because then you can imagine what ends up happening is the same thing as like the sauna. You build up a fear of doing saunas. So then even if you were going to get some benefit from it, you can't because you've had a fainting.
So I only tried it about 3 times, but I couldn't do it.
Yeah. And like, were you drinking water in there? Because do you remember that movie, The Secret, going back like 10, 15, 20 years ago?
I never saw it.
Anyway, so part of the guys who developed that, or people who had watched it, I don't know, something happened where people were setting up these cleansing centres. And they would do like all-day saunas without any water. And what a surprise, people started having health issues because of it. And as soon as I heard it, I thought, well, duh, you know, you've got to keep the water up while you sauna. And for you, because your sodium drops so fast, you would almost be better off having like a little bit of salt or your, you know, Fibreplex or something in your water while you're sitting in there.
My sodium dropped fast.
Well, you know, when you get low sodium, you feel faint.
Yes.
Yeah, so, and because, like, you've got lots of fainty sort of things where, you know, having that salt.
Oh, for years I have always got out of bed slowly.
Yeah, yeah. There you go.
So when someone
I'm happy,
comes and
healthy, whole, and hopeful. And whole. Bit of alliteration there for you. Okay.
I lost my two of my gym teachers that I didn't mind having Yvette for.
Oh, for your yoga?
She's okay.
Yeah.
But the others, I had much more faith in Giselle and.
Yeah, right.
Emma.
And they all moved on.
Well, I think Giselle probably got shoved on.
Yeah.
And Giselle at the time probably needed more support than the rest of it because the
Yeah.
arsehole that she lived with read off with.
We probably should also make a list of the things that are close by to you to sort of get Manuela to have a look at those, you know, like the salt sanctuary, things like that, and see whether any of those she believes would be good for you. But anyway, see you all later. Going to keep her up and alive and well for as long as we can. Happy, healthy, whole. See you later.